TX141 here, and today I'm bringing you a rather special gameplay. As you can see, I'm bringing out the P-38G Lightning. Now, I've been promising you guys this gameplay for quite a while. It's taken me the space of 4 weeks of casual gameplay, mind you. I haven't been going on every day and playing for a ridiculous period of time, but it's taken me 4 weeks of casual gameplay in order to get this. Now, I'm not going to lie, folks, the P-38G it's a difficult plane to get used to. I've read all over the War Thunder forums, I've read from people I play with and things, and all different areas over the War Thunder community, that the P-38 is in fact a nightmare, that supposedly the flight model's broken and all different and other things, but we're not going to go into the technical side. I'm checking the scoreboard and climbing at the moment, just to see what bombers and what planes are around in general, as you guys know I always do. And right, let's go down to the basics. I've got the plane at fully upgraded condition. I've got every upgrade on it, even the cover and the new 20mm cannons. I'm running the stealth ammunition on the cannons because that's got the most high explosive rounds. I'm running the 50 caliber omni-purpose rounds, and I've got my gun convergence set to 500 meters, not millimeters, that'd be tiny. 500 meters because all the guns are mounted in the nose, so I do not need to worry about gun convergence too much. The plane climbs pretty well once it's fully upgraded. I think it climbs. It's not as good a climber as a BF-109, but it can climb as well as a Focke-Wulf, and that's enough in arcade for it to be able to climb alright. Now the thing with the plane is, and what you're going to see during this entire gameplay, which I go 5 for 0, I get the ace, the thing you're going to see is this plane, it's very difficult to be able to get into a situation where you could actually perform a kill. And on the map Green Ridge, this map is tiny in comparison to a lot of the bigger maps, which would suit this plane for climbing, diving away, dogfighting and things along those lines, i.e. the energy tactics that I do use in this plane. Now I'm going for this AR-2 bomber because he's just cruising over above, probably to drop some bombs on our ships or pillboxes, and the guns are not too bad. Obviously I'm having to use WEP in order to boost myself up high enough, but I'm not overusing it, I'm not causing the engine to concat, and we got the AR-2, so that's kill number 1. We took out the pilot, and the 20mm cannon, if you do get the hits off, will rip things to pieces, but it's a very temperamental gun compared to the 20mm on the British, on the Russian planes. I mean, it's about the equivalent to German 20mm cannons. It can be lethal as long as you actually get the hit off. You haven't got much room for error compared to the 20mm on, say, the Spitfire Mark V and so on, as you've probably seen in my previous gameplay of the Spitfire Mark V-B. But anyway, back to this. I'm on 1 kill already. I'm up at an altitude of just coming over 4,000 meters, which is where this plane belongs, and I can see there's 2 Thunderbolts flying in formation down below, and so I'm going to dive on them because they're gradually gaining altitude. You can see them in the bottom corner of the screen, and rather than dive on and try and kill both of them, I decided to pick out the one on the far side. As you can see, I've just targeted him, and here we go. I took a few more cannon shells than I expected, but we got him, so that's 2, and I'm just going to boom and zoom away. Now, I'm about to show you the difficulty with this plane, because yes, it picks up speed very nicely in a dive, and you can get away, and if you use the WEP, but don't overuse it, as you see here, you can get all your altitude back pretty nicely, although you compromise your speed, and this Yak 3 is actually out climbing me right now. So what I decided to do, because this is the only option I've got, I loop over and actually fly under him. I take a cannon shot to the left wing, and I think a couple of machine gun bullets to the right wing, but because I managed to loop over and under him, it means that he can't bring his nose down in time to bring his cannons to bear, and because I've gained all that energy from doing the loop over, I just fly back up and keep climbing. And the Yak 3 gives up on going after me, I've noticed, so I was lucky there. If he kept on going, he probably would have got me, because I just cannot escape from the plane or most planes at the tier. So, moving on. The plane's not terrible, it's not unplayable, mind you, as it's made out to believe. It's actually a decent plane, but you really have to have the right situation. And here, as you know, nobody has actually really tried climbing up high in this match. I mean, it's a rank 10 plane, you'd be expecting BF-109s and all different sorts of energy fighters to be up as high as possible to match me. Or, sorry, to match this plane, but in this game, I was just lucky in a way not to have anyone try and climb after me. Minus that Yak 3 there, but we managed to get away from him pretty well. So now I'm looking at the targets. I'm heading over to the enemy spawn, but I'm not going to go directly for a spawn kill. Instead, I'm letting the enemy planes come out and spawn, giving them some time to choose where they're going to go, and I can see the Spitfire who's gradually climbing. He's just sort of lazying about, not doing very much. And so I decide to dive down onto him, and as you'll see, this prepares me for a dive all the way into the furball, just further up the field, where all the enemy planes are congregating to chase a couple of our planes. So here we go. And as you're going to see, the ailerons lock up at beyond 700 kilometers an hour, which means the roll rate becomes terrible in this plane. So I keep my eye on the Spitfire right now, and I'm just preparing now to really fight with the roll rate. But I managed to get him in the end, so that's free, and I decided to cut for an aim for this other P-47D Thunderbolt, the one from earlier. And I nail him enough to put him into the ground, or her into the ground, and I just fly away using all the energy I've gained in the dive. Now my advice would be, I'm not telling you how to actually use the plane, but my advice would be with this plane, if you do a boom and zoom run, I dive on someone, do not use the rudder or try and make too many corrections to your flight path during that period of time. This plane bleeds energy very quickly compared to, say, a Focke-Wulf 190 or a Messerschmitt 109. Or any of the energy fighters, even the Corsairs. This plane just bleeds energy so quickly if you start making small corrections. And as a result, there have been a number of times where I've been trying to get this gameplay. Well, I've done a dive on, say, a Messerschmitt 109, who's been 3 kilometres below me, and now I've had to make a few corrections because I'm trying to carry on through into a furball and take some other fighters out. And the BF 109 I dived on's actually caught up to me because all these corrections have cost me over 100 to 200 kilometres an hour speed. So I'm just climbing away, getting my altitude back up as the normal procedure is. And I'll be honest, this plane requires so much patience and dedication in order to get a good game with it. I mean, we can all get lucky, and I was lucky, but also I think by the time we're getting this gameplay, as you can see, I'm looking at the scoreboard to see what other fighters are around. I'm noticing there are no bombers really left, minus a Mitchell, but that's it. But at the time of getting this gameplay, I think I was so used to actually fly this plane in arcade that in the end I could put 2 and 2 together with the plane. So I'm just looking for one more fighter to kill now, because I've pretty much had enough. This is at the end of a 4-hour session, and I've had enough of flying the P-38 for one day. It's just too much, and I can't really see anyone because all my team's fighters are going after the ones I'm intending to dive after. And I notice there's a small group of fighters over on the left, and there's a load of enemy fighters now actually gradually started to climb up high. You see the Spitfire and the LA-5 over there. So I'm wondering to myself, well, who do I go for at this point? So really in this case I'm just having to keep climbing, just build up my altitude and prepare myself for any given situation that might appear. And I'm having to roll the plane over in order to conserve my speed after performing the climb and not have to go into the instructor stall mode, which this game insists upon after you get below a certain speed with each individual plane. And no, flying this plane's not been a nightmare. It's been a hardship, I'll give you that, but would I do it again if you guys asked for another ace game playing this? No. I'd never do it again until perhaps if they put in a couple of the later versions of the P-38 Lightning, but I'm not flying this again for a long while. I'd rather stare and watch paint dry, in all honesty. Not saying there's anything wrong with the plane, but this took too long to get. But I got it for you guys anyway. So, running out of things to talk about here, and I'm just making my way over towards this valley where I see there's a number of enemy fighters, and I hope to pick one off from the group in an energy dive, or in a dive in general, because that all involves energy. And as you'll see, this plane does keep its speed up rather nicely at higher altitudes. I'm travelling along at 450 kilometers an hour almost, at an altitude of just under 3,000 meters. It's not as though I'm struggling for speed or anything. It's not as though this plane just cannot climb or fight in general. And I'm noticing there's a Spitfire down there who seems to sort of be building his altitude gradually, but I'm just trying to pick one out from the group because I can see there's 2 BF 109s there, and I know that if I'm going to dive after them I've got to have a straight run. So what I decided to do, I decided to make a sharp turn, and the turn rate on this plane is less than satisfactory for its tier, let's put it that way. I decided to turn over and just dive down into the whole line of enemy fighters. And I'm having to turn sideways a bit just to shake off some speed into my dive because I do not really want to hit over that 700 kilometers an hour speed cap, if you will. So I see this BF 109 G2 here, and I get a couple of 50 caliber bullets on him, but it's not enough. And I think at this point he actually decides to try and sort of loop and undercut over, but I've done enough to put him off and actually make him crash into the ground. So that's my 5th kill. Really, I just unsettled him enough to actually make him have to correct it, and he just put it into the ground. So having just achieved the ace, I'm all over the moon at this point in the actual game, and I recorded it last night, and now I'm about to learn the lesson of why you should never bite off more than you can chew, folks. Yep, I decided to go back into the furball, even though the game's nearly at the end, in order to try and take out the Spitfire, which you can see in the centre of your screen. Well, this does not actually turn out as planned, to be honest, as you're about to see. Now, I cannot turn with the Spitfire, even with higher energy. I can see there's a yak ahead. I've got a B-25 that's decided to actually turn around and start firing its machine guns at me, and I'm panicking at this point. So I just go into a climb because I know the Spitfire won't have the energy to keep climbing after me, and the Mitchell cannot climb with me. Well, I'm hoping that at the very minimum. And, well, I'm in a dead vertical. I actually put the plane into a stall at this point as it drops over. Performing the, I think it's called a stall turn. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And I decided to take another round at the Spitfire, but at this point 2 Messerschmitt 109s from our team have actually decided to go after him. And I do not even get the assist. But oh well, that's 5 kills, and I've learned why I should never bite off more than I could chew in a P-38 Lightning. So I'm just flying away at this point, celebrating inside. Just celebrating over the moon because I've actually managed to get this gameplay. I know it's not much to a lot of you folks on the War Thunder community, but to me this gameplay was, well, it was quite wonderful in honesty. There was a game I did get a couple of days, no sorry, last week, which was actually a 7 for 0 in this plane, but it was 7 kills on bombers. It was a 20-minute game where I pretty much just spent the whole game at 6,000 metres stalking a load of bomber aircraft, and I really did not want to put that out. That was boring. But anyway, I brought out the Victory aerobatic smoke. I'm celebrating, just looking around at the lovely scenery on Green Ridge, and the gameplay's just come to an end. We haven't had any awards, unfortunately, even though I thought I should have got the Survivor Award, or however you want to call it, or whatever it's called, mind you. So let's take a look at the scoreboard and see what we actually did. Okay, so bringing up the scoreboard. Now this plane's a pretty good money earner if you get it right. That's just shy of 19,000 silver lions and 14,000 XP, which is quite a bit for a tier 10 plane in that game. Well, I've been TX141. I hope you've enjoyed the video. In the top right corner there'll be a subscribe here button if you want to subscribe for more War Thunder content on my channel. Otherwise, leave a like and a comment in the section below, and have a nice day.